Don't say anything. And
Hello.
hello.
Hi, Huni.
Hey.
It's been such a long time since we talked.
I know.
So just give it a couple more minutes.
Okay. Hi, Elizabeth and Diana are here too.
Hey, Elizabeth. So, I guess we can get started then. Nina, can you just let me know who's all in the room with you?
Here I have Trevor, Ergen, Fiat, and Hua.
Okay. Thank you. And on the call, we have Diana, Elizabeth, Huni, Jeff, Stephen, and Tim. Did I miss anybody?
Yeah, Yuling's here as well.
Oh, okay, Yuling. So on the agenda today, we are going to just talk about our action items. And then we had a meeting with the CEDA folks that were at actually 12 o'clock, like about 2 hours earlier. And I just want to brief about what we talked there in the CEDA, with the CEDA folks. And then we can have a brief discussion about what features for DataMed version 3 and the updates with regard to where we are with this list. So, Jeff, do you have an update with the reindexing?
Yep, so we've gone through around 40, I think. And we had a period of starting and stopping last week because there were some bugs that we ran into with data sites. So we got in touch with Martin Fenner and got that resolved. And then so far, the prior memory leak issue is mainly resolved. I mean, we've been running straight now on this last batch for 5 days, and we're just now seeing some effects of a potential leak. So it's much better, but we can, after we've run through everything, we can dig deeper into that.
So that would be about maybe another 2 weeks?
Yeah, depending on what happens. Yeah, if it should be, within the next week or two, yeah.
Okay. So for the data type ontology, Philippe and Alejandra are working on that, and I followed up with them, but I haven't heard back from them yet with regard to their progress. So I'm going to email them again. But I also think we will see them next week when we are at the workshop, so we can try to get some updates at that time. The second thing that's talking about the workshop, next week we won't have the CDT meeting because most of us are going to be there in DC attending the 2 workshops. So I'll send out a cancellation email soon. But Elizabeth said that we should have Ready Talk over there as well. So we'll send out the information for the workshop to the CDT members. And those of you that can call in, please do call in. Jeff, I think for sure you will be calling in, right?
Yeah, I mean, because I'm on jury duty, unless they tell me that I don't have to show up for like a week or so, I could always potentially, hop on a plane quickly, but that would probably be not very cost effective. So I would probably say calling in would be the best.
Okay. So also talking about that, for the repository workshop, which happens on May 8th, we are going to have a pipeline presentation as well as a DataMed demo that FA will do. So for the pipeline presentation, Jeff, if by chance you are not able to make it, we would like to have maybe Huni present. So do you think you and Huni can maybe meet up to talk about it, or if you want to share the slides?
Or I have a suggestion. Is it possible that Jeff just record the presentation and we play the presentation during the workshop?
We could do that too. Jeff, do you think you can get that done? Jeff, this is just as a backup if by some chance you can make it.
I can try. I don't know if I have this. I mean, I can. I don't know. Because would have to find software to do that, right?
I think even PowerPoint lets you do that. We need just a slideshow and with your voiceover. So.
Okay, so okay. If it's just a voiceover, I can try. Yeah, I can try doing that in PowerPoint. Yeah. How long? I mean, how long should I shoot for then in terms of the recorded
So
version?
let me look at the agenda again. I don't know if this is the finalized agenda.
Yes, they're final.
So it's half an hour then.
So
according to their finalized, if that's the final agenda. Okay, so let me just. Is this the one that's the correct agenda?
Right.
Elizabeth, is this the correct agenda?
Yeah, it looks like it is.
But I thought once they were talking about to move Jeff and my talk to later.
Here, let me check what I have from Jared. No, the one that Jared told me to go ahead and print as the final version has the same times as the one Anu has in ReadyTalk.
Okay.
So I'll present data map first for half an hour. Then Jeff going to present the ingestion for half an hour. Okay.
So I'm assuming it's not the full half hour because there'll be questions, so shoot for 20 minutes.
Right.
Yeah, that should be fine.
And I've also asked Xiaoling to be on the on ReadyTalk if there are any technical questions that need to be answered for DataMed UI side as well.
Okay.
With the schema.org annotations, we just today received a mapping file that Alejandra and Philippe generated. So this is I don't know, Jeff, if you had seen that spreadsheet before.
Yeah. Well, this is the map. Yeah, the mappings that they've done with schema.org. Yeah.
So that is something that we did not use that.
Yes, we did not use that because we are not aware of the file, and we don't know how to use that.
Well, I mean, it's basically the name mappings that I brought up before, right? It's that the names don't match, right? Because they're
The name of the field.
Yeah, the name of the field. So, for example, name and title, right? So title is DATS and is also, is aligned with Dublin Core, but in schema.org it's name, right? So if you see a field called title, you have to map it to name, right? So.
Okay, this file includes this mapping, right? That, right?
Yeah. So down to. So date stored.
So just match the name and title here. How is it done?
Yeah, there might. Yeah. So if you find, so there's.
At the left, there's a name.
Yeah. Well, identifier.
Sixth row.
Right. So yeah. So I mean, what we can.
Okay, let's see title.
Because they have set this up.
So I don't see either name.
Well, name
title.
is there. Name is there. Well, there's name in multiple places, right? There's data. There's the data repository name. There's the publication title. But I didn't see the grant. There's license.
Dimension. Play.
Yeah, so where's the
Person.
core? Where was the core data record? That was up on top.
Should have been data standard.
So all the way to the top.
Data set.
Yeah, so data set title right there.
Right.
And if you look over, it's schema.org name. Right? And so there are a couple of these where there's not, where there's a slight alignment that has to happen.
So do we have to check all the URLs here, or?
What do you mean check all the URLs?
So
No, I mean, So title is something that we know is one of the fields that we bring in, right? That's a core data set attribute. And that, if basically all data sets have a title, so we need to make sure that that gets represented, as
Okay,
schema.org name on that data set.
Okay, we can add this.
And there are a couple others too that are in there, like the URL. So if you go down, there should be a landing page, or what's the is about. There's that's an access. Yeah, so there's an access landing page.
Okay,
right?
let's go down to.
No, keep on going. Right, so as part of the, not the data set distribution, there's an access fee. There's the access block, right?
So for now, we are doing the data set part, right?
Well, yeah, no, but the record, so there's a standard part of the data set record, which is the access part that has the landing page, and that has to be mapped onto URL for schema.org.
So can we logically map it here, or it's just a...
So their access landing page right there.
Landing
so access
page.
landing page goes to URL, right? So again, I mean, we can't sort of do it blindly in some sense because, the way that the data model is that, there's certain core attributes of the data set. So distribution is another one, which says where the files are. The access block says, where the landing page is and gives some high-level information. So, I mean, all those core pieces, of the DATS data model, we need to make sure are mapped appropriately into schema.org because, so that we have as full a description of the data set, because really, you want the information on the data set, including title, right? Some of them have creator information and author information, which should carry over. We need to know what the target page is, so the landing page for the data set, and then also potentially where you can get the data files, right? So, I mean, those things I think would be a good start to, make sure that the core data set properties, the creator, the authors, and maybe even the primary publication would be another one, right? Because that's the publication that generated the data.
So do we have a landing page property that I sent you?
Yeah, access landing page, news on it right now.
So we have a landing page field in that mail that I sent you?
No, it's called URL. In schema.org, it's called URL.
So these sites can be switched then, as I understood. So,
well, they get mapped. You map access landing page to the schema.org dataset URL.
okay. Okay.
So I guess we'll do the mapping and then come back to this again in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically, start with the core properties, and then, we can always build out to other properties, because we have the spreadsheet that lists all the properties that we get from the various repositories, so we can always look at that to say, okay, which other ones should we convert?
So is there a possibility that we always change this file and this mapping? So maybe we should edit a file outside of the software so it will be faster and quicker for us. I mean, should we keep this mapping in?
I mean, if we have a mapping file that we can edit and update, that might be useful.
maybe we should keep it out of the software and read it from there. Because
as a
I
configuration.
got the idea that we will always be changing this.
Well, we might be expanding it. I mean, once, the mappings that are there that are correct, I don't think will change, but we might be adding new mappings, right?
Okay, that's right.
Yeah, the only question is for sub-mapping. So primary publication would be adding an object of type publication within the data set. And so I don't know, I mean, that would have to be handled. Somehow it would have to know that because you basically have to create a new object of type publication then within the data set.
So schema.org doesn't distinguish between primary publications and what we call citations, right, which are potentially the secondary publication.
Yeah. Well, not yet. That's what we've been talking to them about through the data citation implementation project. So that might be something that will change in the future. Yeah, but right now it would be citation, yeah. Well, I don't know if it would be citation because they do have a publication object. But, yeah, so we can look, I mean, that might be one that we look at more carefully in 2 weeks to discuss that.
Okay. Okay. Also, for the demo of DataMed at the CDE workshop, I think we have everything set to go. And we already talked about the May 8th workshop. So I think we are hopefully good to go on that as well. So for the documentation, where we are testing the documentation that we currently have, Suraj, do we have any updates?
Yes, we are processing it now, so we are at 60% of that.
Okay. And with the JMIA papers, just we need the section from you and Burak.
So we added a first,
Shaolin,
right?
I'm sorry?
I thought we added a little content already, so we need to add some more, I think, maybe, but I thought we had taken a first pass at that. For the paper.
Shaolin sent out the link to you, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Also, I think Trevor, Shaolin wanted the material for the similarity dataset module.
Yeah, I did send that to her.
Oh, you sent it to her?
Yeah.
Could you send it to me and I can just plug it into the
Sure.
Google Doc? Thanks.
I mean, we have about 2.5 pages right now in the paper.
Okay. So by
The right level, or do we need to change the level, or so? But we can modify that as needed.
So the plan is to kind of have a pre-final version by Thursday or so of this week, and then Ha will take a look at it, and then we send it out to everybody else on the publication in the CDT and EC as well. Also, a heads up, next week we'll also send out the paper that Todd and Aram and Divakar are working on with regard to the usability and user testing of DataMed. So the plan is to send that out to everybody by Monday of next week. And Jeff, you are almost also done with your ingestion pipeline. Did you need any help with that, or?
I'm going to have someone here locally review it.
Okay.
So, and then we'll.
So, for with regard to the CEDA discussions that we had today, there is a Google document, and the link is put up here, but I can also put the link up in the chat box for those that did not call in. What happened? Okay. That did not call in for the meeting today. So this document has all the potential areas of interaction between the CEDA team and Biocadi, and the interaction primarily is now at the level of the technical teams. We are meeting bi-weekly, and I can just share that part, and then there's a list of things. So Jeff and Martin and John had a face-to-face meeting about a month ago, and came up with a to-do list with a list of areas of interest. And we just reviewed that to-do list. Right now we talked about the DataMed API, which is being tested. Firat tested the API from the UT Health team, and also Nancy tested it. So Jeff, is Burak going to test the API?
Yeah, I mean, I can have him look at that. He's been mainly looking at the bugs and the data set processing. So, but I'll.
So if we could just finalize that, and then once Charlene gets back, she's also going to finalize the documentation that she's written up for the API. I know there were some suggestions from Ergen and Jeff and a couple of others. So once we finalize that, then we can go ahead and publish the information. After we've done that, I think we're going to let the CEDA team know about it so that they can start playing around, and that will also be a good external validation for us to make sure that the API is working okay. Again, we talked about the schema.org work. I think we are probably a little farther than they are in terms of where they're at with reference to schema.org, annotations and tagging. And so what they would like to see is for us to share our mappings and whatever fields that we are using so that they can align their schema.org work with what we are doing. So once we have the finalized format, which I think will happen in another 3 to 4 weeks, then we can probably share the information with them. So what we have right now is probably still too preliminary to be shared, right?
Yeah, I mean, if we get some of the core elements like the title and all that, then I think we're and the URL and stuff like that, so it has the core information. Then it would be good to share that.
Okay. Shall we do the core mapping first and share it, and then continue extending the mapping at our end?
Yeah.
And we also had a discussion with regard to CDEs, and they are going to be, Mark and I think John are going to be there for the CDE workshop, and they do have a presentation, but from what I heard from John, the presentation is primarily going to be with regard to the registration process in CEDAR, and potentially where they would be thinking of using CDEs in CEDAR, and they do not have any concrete examples that they can actually work with, or they can demonstrate right now. The other discussion that happened was with regard to the CEDAR BioCADI demonstration on data commons. So the idea here is actually to be able to show that you could use a CEDAR entry form to register a data set in BioCADI, which could then potentially be published to Commons. And this is the main idea that's going on, but there's actually not a lot of work done in this space yet. We do have a template, a BioCADI template that's being generated by Ulink in CEDAR, and we have not used it yet. So that one potential use case that we could use that for is to actually publish the challenge data set. This is suggested by Jeff, is to publish the challenge data set that we have in a repository or into the Commons, and use the CEDAR form to publish this. So this is something that will be discussed further a little bit more before we start doing any work on it. I think for the next week meeting, which happens in 2 weeks' time, the plan is to talk a little bit more about data set identifiers. So Ian suggested that maybe we could ask the DCIP folks to join in the call, and I think I'll follow up with the DCIP people, Tim Clark, and I think Ian said John. I forget the name now. Okay. Let's see. John Kunzo, probably. So I'll follow up with them to see if they can join us in the call. And that is kind of the overview of what was discussed today. Jeff and Huni, is there anything else that you think I left out?
No, nothing special from me. No.
Well, I think that covered it.
So since we have time, we can go through quickly with the features of DataMed, or the tasks that we have for DataMed version 3 before DataMed version 3 release. So, Jeff, do we have any updates with regard to integration of the metadata pilot projects?
Metadata, you're talking about the one from Chris Mungle, or which one?
Yeah, right. Chris Mungle and Ram and Gochan.
Yeah, from Chris, no. I can follow up with Chris.
Okay. And I'll follow up again with the other two. So we are still working on expansion of the similar data sets. And also what's ongoing is the adding all the metadata fields into the advanced search. We right now have dimensions fields, so what we need to still add the remaining fields. And all we have, the tracking information is is accumulating right now. So we will, and Divakar is working on being able to analyze this information that we have accumulated. So we should have the most accurate data set information coming up. So that's ongoing, and we should see that getting implemented pretty soon. Likewise, once the NLP pipeline gets completed, then we can do the word cloud implementation. And with the integration of challenge results, we will have, there are two things. I think one is that we will have presentations from the people who received the funding or who are part of the pilot projects for the challenge. So we will have them present to the CDT, but that would be after next week. And then the next, I think after about a month or so, we will also start probably talking about the features that we want to have implemented that come from the other teams which did not get the subcontract but are still of interest for us to look at. So with the API, we still will have one more round of testing before we actually release it to the public. And we talked about the tracking system. The working group 9 recommendations that Todd and Ram presented last time needs to be actually clubbed with the heuristic evaluation that was done by Gina's team. So once we do that, then we need to start looking at those recommendations and as well, and look into implementation and what exactly, which of the features we would like to implement. The data type ontology is ongoing, but I'll follow up again with Philip and Alejandra to see where we are at. And the schema.org, we already talked about it, and it's also ongoing. Please do put in all the source code in GitHub and make sure that it's documented well. And the user studies are actually the phase. User studies from our end is completed, and the analysis is ongoing. Most of the analysis is also done, I think. And so what we have now is more or less the personas and any other user studies that would be done potentially by Gina's team. And also if we want to go back after we have done implementing the changes based on the second phase of user studies, that is what Ram did, to see, to the same people, to see if the websites and the suggested features are better, then that's something that we can think about doing. And that's about it. Is there anything else that we should talk about? So if not, then we finish early today.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.